You've done everything they told you to do. You've stayed late at the office, you've skipped the vacations, and you've read every hustle book on the shelf. And yet, at the end of every month, your bank account looks exactly the same. Or worse, every time you finally save a little extra, an unexpected emergency or a sudden bill wipes it all away. It feels like you're running on a treadmill. Plenty of effort, but zero distance. Most people will tell you that you just need to work harder, find a better side hustle, or learn a new skill. But look around. The world is full of people who work 14 hours a day and still die broke. Hard work is a requirement, but it isn't the reason people get wealthy. There is a deeper law at play, an invisible architecture of cause and effect that the ancient world called karma. Today, we are going to talk about the one specific karma rule that is acting like a silent tax on your life, keeping you broke. No matter how hard you grind out in modern culture, we are obsessed with the grind. We treat money like a prey we have to hunt and capture. But in the wisdom of Krishna, money isn't something you catch. It's something you align with. Think about it. Why does the person who seems to work the least often make the most? It's not just luck. It's because their karmic frequency isn't jammed. Karma isn't a mystical reward system for being good. It's a simple law of physics. For every action, there is a reaction. If your financial life is stagnant, it means your actions, both physical and mental, are creating a reaction that repels wealth instead of attracting it. We have been taught to focus entirely on the external action, the doing, while completely ignoring the internal being that drives the results. The first reason you're staying broke is what we call the scarcity loop. Most of us think about money from a place of lack. When you pay a bill, you feel a pinch of pain. When you see someone else's success, you feel a tiny spark of envy. When you look at your balance, you feel a wave of anxiety. In the science of karma, your intent is the seed. If the seed of your action is fear or lack, the fruit it produces will always be more lack. When you spend money with the energy of I won't have enough left, you are telling the universe and your own subconscious mind that you are a person who lives in lack. You are reinforcing a broke identity. Psychologically, this is known as cognitive tunneling. When you are stressed about money, your brain's bandwidth shrinks. You literally cannot see the million-dollar opportunities standing right in front of you because your brain is too busy scanning for threats. You are working hard, but you're working with a clouded mind that is programmed to stay in survival mode. But there is a second, even more dangerous rule you're likely ignoring. It's called the karma of attachment. Krishna teaches us in the Bhagavad Gita that you have a right to your labor, but never to the fruits of your labor. To a modern ear, that sounds crazy. Why would you work if you don't get the fruit? But this is the secret code to wealth. When you are desperately attached to the fruit, the paycheck, the status, the luxury, your work becomes a means to an end. It loses its soul and its excellence because your focus is on what you can get rather than what you are creating. In a world that pays for value, soulless work is the fastest way to stay broke. When you chase the fruit, it runs away. When you focus on the perfection of the action itself, the fruit follows as a natural consequence. To break the cycle of being broke, you have to stop being a hunter of money and start becoming a magnet for it by changing the very nature of your actions. One of the most destructive habits holding people in a state of financial stagnation is the comparison trap, a modern-day karmic poison that is amplified by the digital world we live in. In the US, we are constantly bombarded with images of the finished product, the private jets, the designer clothes, and the luxury lifestyles. When you look at someone else's highlight reel and feel that pang of inadequacy, you are committing a karmic act of self-sabotage. You are essentially telling yourself that your current path is wrong and that their results are the only things that matter. Krishna teaches that it is better to live your own destiny imperfectly than to live in imitation of someone else's life with perfection. When you compare your behind the scenes to someone else's stage performance, you fragment your energy. Instead of pouring 100% of your focus into your own craft, you are wasting 30% on envy and 20% on self-pity. This creates a leaky karmic vessel. You cannot hold wealth if your energy is constantly draining out through the holes of comparison. Wealth flows toward focus, and focus is impossible when you are looking sideways instead of forward. This leads us to the concept of the energy of value exchange. In the US market, we often think of money as something we make, but money is actually something we receive in exchange for the value we provide to the collective. If you are staying broke, it is a signal that your current karmic output, your work, is not resonating with the needs of the world around you, or you are providing that value with a corrupted intent. Many people work hard at tasks that provide very little value to others, or they do valuable work, but with a heart full of resentment. This resentment is a karmic block. If you hate the service you provide, the people you serve will subconsciously feel that resistance, and the flow of money will eventually dry up. To change your financial reality, you must shift your perspective from what can I get from this job to how much value can I pour into this task. When the value you provide becomes undeniable, the universe's law of equilibrium ensures that the compensation must follow. You are not underpaid because of your boss. You are often underpaid because your internal value meter is set to survival rather than contribution. Another hidden reason you're staying broke is the karma of debt and emotional spending. In a consumer-driven society like the US, we are programmed to seek instant gratification to mask our internal anxieties. Every time you buy something you don't need with money, you don't have to impress people you don't like. You are creating a heavy karmic debt. This isn't just financial debt. It is a psychological weight that ties you to the past. Karma is about the present moment, but debt forces you to live in the past, working today to pay for a pleasure that has already evaporated. This creates a cycle of fear-based decisions. When you are in debt, you make choices out of desperation rather than inspiration. You take the soul-crushing job because you have to pay the credit card bill. You stay in the toxic environment because you're afraid of losing your cushion. This desperation is a repellent to true wealth. High-level wealth requires the ability to take calculated risks and move with intuition. But debt paralyzes your intuition and keeps you locked in. A cage of your own making. To break this, you must understand the broke identity. Most people who struggle with money actually have a deep-seated belief that being wealthy is somehow unspiritual or that rich people are greedy. This is a massive karmic contradiction. If you subconsciously believe that money is evil, your internal compass will always steer you away from it, even when opportunities arise. You will accidentally oversleep for the big meeting, or you will forget to follow up with the high-value client. This is your subconscious mind protecting you from becoming what you despise. You have to clean your karmic slate by realizing that money is simply a tool, a neutral energy that takes the shape of the person holding it. In the hands of a person aligned with Krishna's guidance, money becomes a force for dharma, for protection, and for growth. Until you give yourself permission to be wealthy, your actions will continue to reflect a poverty consciousness that keeps you broke. You are not waiting for money to come to you. Money is waiting for you to become a version of yourself that can handle it without losing your soul. To break the cycle of staying broke, you must transition from understanding these principles to executing them through what we call karmic engineering. The first practical shift is moving from getting to becoming. In the US, the standard advice is to focus on the how to start a business, how to invest, how to save. But the karma rule suggests that the who is more important. You cannot manifest $1 million reality with a $1,000 personality. If you were given $1 million today, but your internal discipline, your emotional regulation, and your character remained the same, the law of cause and effect would ensure that money left your hands as quickly as it arrived. Self-mastery is the ultimate form of wealth. When you master your impulses, your time, and your focus, you are building a vessel that can actually hold the fruit of your labor. Start treating your daily routine as a ritual of self-construction. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you are performing a karmic act that signals you are ready for more responsibility, and therefore more reward. The second shift is the implementation of the 24-hour karmic pause rule. Most people are broke because they are reactive. They see an ad, they feel a void, and they click buy. This is a reactive karma that creates a chain of regret and debt. In the US, our economy is literally built on your lack of impulse control. By introducing a mandatory 24-hour waiting period before any non-essential purchase, you are reclaiming your power. In that 24-hour window, the emotional fog clears, and you can ask yourself, am I buying this to add value to my life, or am I buying this to escape a feeling? This simple practice breaks the cycle of emotional spending and begins to heal your relationship with money. It moves you from a consumer karma to a steward karma. A steward doesn't just spend money, they manage energy. When you stop leaking your energy on things that don't matter, you suddenly find that you have the resources to invest in things that do. The third and most powerful shift is the value first. Audit. Every Sunday, instead of just looking at your bank statement, look at your value statement. Ask yourself, who did I serve this week? What problems did I solve? Did I perform my work with excellence, or was I just watching the clock? If you want to increase your income, You must increase your karmic footprint, the amount of positive impact you have on others. Wealth in the modern world is a scoreboard for the value you've provided to the marketplace. If the score is low, don't blame the scoreboard. Improve the game. This aligns with Krishna's teaching of nishkama karma. When you show up to your job or your business with the primary intent to solve a problem or help a person, the quality of your work reaches a level of divinity. It becomes soulful work. People are drawn to excellence, and in a market full of mediocrity, your commitment to value becomes a massive competitive advantage. Finally, you must realize that peace is the foundation of wealth, not the result of it. Most people think, once I have money, I will be at peace. But the law of karma works in reverse. Once you find peace within your actions, the money will follow. Money flows toward clarity and discipline, and it flees from chaos and desperation. Stop chasing the shadow and start walking toward the light of your own potential. Release the attachment to the outcome. Focus entirely on the perfection of your current task and trust that the law of cause and effect is as certain as the rising sun. You are not destined to be broke. You are simply currently misaligned. Change the intent of your actions today, and you will change the reality of your bank account tomorrow. Peace begins with release, and wealth begins with value. Trust the process, do the work, and let the results take care of themselves.